everybody. We're recording on the weekend for Monday and Tuesday's edition of the Court of Public Opinion. From the garage, Peter Clayton's behind the camera. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Pete, some really heartbreaking news here.
What's that, Jeremy?
Heartbreaking news. The iconic Australian chewing gum, Juicy Fruit, is quietly pulled from the shelves.
Well, that's just not fair.
Well, it's unbelievable. Why would you do it?
I don't know.
Why would you do it? The beloved treat, I'll get my glasses on, it's going to be easier that way. The beloved treat has been on sale for an incredible 131 years. Supermarket shoppers have been left reeling from news that the iconic Australian sweet chewing gum had been quietly discontinued in stores across the country. It's the 12-year-old in the marketing department. Now, that 12-year-old can ruin your radio station, can ruin your newspaper, can ruin your confectionery company. God, amazing, isn't it? It's been revealed that Juicy Fruit chewing gum, which has been on sale for 131 years, has been removed from sale. An insider who works at the factory which produces Juicy Fruit told Radio 2GB that the recipe had been discontinued when the chewing gum returns mid-2024. Well, how can I put this? It will be different and no longer have its famous hard shell. You know how the little thing came in little things that you could chew on? Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Really is incredibly simple. What are these people doing? Well, you'd imagine that in the, the Parthenon of products that they have, be a hell of a lot of things that they could work on before they got stuck into Juicy Fruit chewing gum. Anyway, be that as it may, the world is a mess. Here's another living example. A 14-year-old southern suburbs teenage girl here in Adelaide has been arrested and charged with terrorism offences. 14! She was found to be in possession of inflammatory material and to have had plans to travel to the Middle East. Well, in some cultures at 14, of course, they do send these children off to the Middle East to be married, and God knows what else. I would really love to know what the backstory is here. There's got to be a backstory. And the media is so politically correct that it probably wouldn't dare to ask the questions or indeed tell us the whole story. A 14-year-old girl does not become radicalized. God. Something more pleasant, 240,000 aged care workers have been awarded a 28.5% pay increase by Fair Work Australia, the Fair Work Commission. Well, we'll see what the pushback or the fallout will be on that. But as I said the other day, a fair few people who have already exited the industry aren't coming back to it. What we all want, I think, is a high-value, quality, rewarding experience for everyone involved in aged care, including, of course, the recipients and the providers. I just hope that the sums add up, because there's no point in getting a pay rise if there's nobody there to hand you the envelope. Aboriginal people on Saturday, just this Saturday gone by, started casting their votes for The Voice to the South Australian Parliament. This is the legislated voice. This is the work of Peter Malinauskas, the Premier. March 25 will be when the counting starts. Voting is not compulsory. I guess the 25th will be when the postal votes have been sent in. I think that's the cut-off time. There are 30,000 people eligible to vote. The population of South Australia is 1,771,000, I think. Now what's that? 30,000, 1,771,000, is that 1%? 1.5%? I think. 1.5%. So at great expense, even though the referendum which we've just had, and also, of course, great expense, through that referendum we know people do not want this Aboriginal voice to Parliament. Well, the South Australian Labor government says, stuff you, we'll do it anyway. Arrogance, absolute arrogance, for which I don't know, I think, maybe, I hope there will be a price to be paid. You can't do that. Peter, you can't do that.
No.
It's dumb.
No, I wish the election, yeah, it's not good enough, no.
No, it's crazy stuff. Now, I don't know what you think, Pete, but is there anything called long COVID?
Yes, there is.
Oh, we're told there is.
Yeah.
Look, we've been told a lot of things over a lot of years.
Well, I haven't had COVID at all, so I don't
No, I haven't either, thank God, touch wood. Queensland's Chief Health Officer says that it doesn't exist. There is no evidence that COVID is any different from any other respiratory disease or illness. I'm not a doctor. Don't know. Look, the world is full of this sort of stuff. I don't know, maybe it's psychosomatic, it's group think, it's herd something or other, herd instinct. It could be a little bit like repetition strain injury. You remember that? It was everywhere. Then, like the crown of thorns starfish, it just disappeared. I remember that crown of thorns starfish was going to destroy the Great Barrier Reef. Oh, now they've moved on to bleaching or something. We never hear about sudden infant death syndrome. We never hear about chronic fatigue syndrome. All of these were around big time not so long ago. Where did they go? The big thing at the moment is PTSD. This is this post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the big one these days. You know, I stubbed my toe on the garden fence. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. Call the NDIS. I'm on a disability support pension for the rest of my life. What are we doing? What are we made of? This is interesting. The Daily Telegraph, the Sydney Daily Telegraph, has revealed the extent of Adam Bandt's, he's the head of the Greens, you know, Adam Bandt's extravagant spending at our expense. Let me tell you, Adam Bandt's expenses were, and I'll run through these, they were $1 million. Well, to be absolutely honest, $960,000, which is close enough to $1 million. His expenses, not including his $314,000 a year salary and the wages of his personal staff. On top of this, he spent $200,000 on printing. With his warnings and campaigning of catastrophic climate change, he travels between Canberra and Brisbane by private VIP jet. Commercial flights between Canberra and Brisbane are available, but not good enough for Adam. No. $372,000 in staff, not his, extra staff travel expenses. $204,000 in printing costs 57,000 on domestic flights because, well, he couldn't always get the VIP flight, I guess. Well, maybe that was the staff. 29,000 on Comcars, 23,000 on 2 private jet flights, which, according to the details, are ill-defined, but presumably still within the rules. $12,000 for his private petrol allowance. You know, you get over $300,000 a year and you get a private petrol allowance. And of course, we've got his salary on top of this for him and for his personal staff. This guy is the head of the Greens, Adam Bandt, in mad pursuit of net zero. He worries about our carbon footprint, but not his own. No way, not his own. The man is a disgrace. And this shameful, hypocritical waste of money has got to stop. For all of them. You know, you put this Adam Bandt business on top of the Tony Burke $60,000 4-day trip to America I was telling you about the other day. And who was it? I can't remember. The assistant treasurer? Stephen Jones. That's the guy. Stephen Jones. 53,000 on chauffeur-driven Comcars in 1 year. What, ladies and gentlemen, are we going to do about this? Are we going to cop it? I, for one, won't shut up. I'll just keep on going. Ah, disgraceful. I can't believe that it has come to this business of Coles and Woolworths putting tags on meat. Tracking mechanisms. Coles will tag various items to try and combat shoplifting, which is shop theft, shop stealing. And now we've got in broad daylight this guy that you possibly saw, we were talking about it on Friday, the guy walking around Rundle Mall with the hatchet, wandering into stores in Rundle Mall, blatantly taking anything he wanted, I guess basically because the management say to their staff, don't get involved. Well, hell. Now the retailers are now hiring private security. Laurie, who rang me on Friday when we were at the dining room table, jeremycordeaux.com, 9 to 12, live streaming. Laurie has a very big security company with branches all over the world. And he lives here in South Australia, runs the business from Balaclava, in fact. Now, to me, his conversation was an absolute eye-opener. Have you got any ideas how we can, what we can do about 14-year-old converts to terrorism in the southern suburbs and young guys with a hatchet wandering around stealing in broad daylight from Rundle Mall? And do we really need the police greys armed with... I thought they were rifles, but somebody rang in on Friday and said, they're not rifles, Jeremy, they're machine guns. This is Adelaide. It's clear that we have been going down a wrong and dangerous road. It's time we turned around. It wasn't so long ago that this was one of the most peaceful, predictable places in the world where anyone could safely live, at any level he or she chose. Let me remind you about the Rising Sun. It's on Bridge Street at Kensington. They're one of our sponsors. Grant owns the place, and it's a beautiful place. And our other sponsor, of course, is the fantastic Jim Elder Fine Art Gallery on Melbourne Street in North Adelaide. I'll tell you about them later. They had a great auction yesterday. Great auction. But he's still looking for your fine paintings that you might want to sell or get valued. I'll tell you about that probably tomorrow. But this little gem up there on Bridge Street at Kensington, the Rising Sun, it's a heritage building, handmade bricks, built back, I can't say it was convict built because it wasn't, we didn't have convicts, but it was built back in 1845. Not that you'd want open fires on a day like today, but maybe the air conditioning. All the mod cons that you could possibly want. Dinner Monday through Saturday, lunch Thursday through Sunday. I'll give you the phone number in a couple of seconds. I've been going there for 40 years, or 35 years at least. Lots of different spaces. You can use it for a quiet romantic dinner for two, or you can have a function. Weddings, birthdays, cocktail parties, stand-up corporate group functions, 5 separate areas that you can designate and cordon off to your liking. I heartily recommend it to you. The number for the Rising Sun Inn, Bridge Street, Kensington, is 8333 0721. 8333 0721. Try it. I think it possibly would become one of your favourite places. We're being told that Coles and Woolworths have too much market power. Too much market power. Well, look, I don't know. I'm not a grower, I'm not a farmer, I don't know. Well, now it's Bunnings' turn. They have 70% of the plant and hardware business, I'm told. 70% of your market would be a cause for celebration. Well, in the old days it would. These days it's a cause for inquiry. Who owns Bunnings, Pete, do you know?
I think it's Wesfarmers, but I'm not sure.
Wesfarmers?
I think so.
Sounds right. Well, they should be very proud of themselves. It's not having power, I sense. It's what you do with it that's important. No one likes a bully. But what are they supposed to do? You work hard to be successful. You build up the company, you build up the business. People love what you do, and then they tell you you've done it too well. You're too successful, too powerful. What is a person in business supposed to do these days? I don't know. Speaking of business, I've heard that Optus is about to be sold. They think it'll go for maybe $18 billion. They've had a few problems of late. There was that data problem last year, which was embarrassing. But these days I don't think data is safe. We had, just over the last few days, I think it was every McDonald's shop in the world, not just Australia, every shop in the world. They don't think it was somebody hacking them, but something went wrong with the computer. The computer is wonderful as long as it works, but what happens when it stops, or what happens when it's hacked? Your whole business, and if it's a global business, worldwide it goes down. I got two minds. I mean, I love the modern age. I haven't quite mastered it, but I do appreciate the internet and all that it has brought. Optus, I think, from memory, is owned by the Singapore government. Singtel, which is wholly owned by the Singapore government. What happens now? I suppose if it's sold, it'll be to venture capitalists. We could do a whole program, Pete, on venture capitalism.
Yes.
I'm not even sure I understand exactly what it is. A whole lot of people who tend to buy things and then strip the assets and then sell the shell.
Well, as long as they don't sell it to China.
I think that venture capitalists would sell to the highest bidder. TikTok, speaking of China, banned now. Well, they want it to be banned in America. It's banned in Australia at the federal parliamentary level. Public servants are not allowed to put stuff through TikTok. But as far as TikTok generally for the population is concerned, it's okay in Australia. The opposition says that it's a threat, that's the coalition, a threat to national security. TikTok. I don't quite understand how, but I'm sure there are people out there who think Two, that the Labour Party and the Greens are a threat to national security. What isn't a threat to national security? The Chinese call the Americans bullies. Okay, all right. Well, in China, why have they banned Facebook, Instagram and Twitter? Why is all that banned, or X? Why is all that banned in China? And we don't say boo. Mind you, we wouldn't say boo to a goose, would we? But really, what's the point of banning TikTok? The Chinese can hack into anything they want. I want to do, maybe I'll keep it for Friday, I'm not sure. I want to do the best streets in the world. It's an interesting thought. You know, street pride. The idea of, you know, people really looking after their street, making sure that the lawn is trimmed and the hedges are beautiful and the garden is watered. There are such things as the best streets in the world. My personal belief is that I live on one of them, and I'm sure that your personal belief is that you live on one of them. That's the way it should be. The best streets in the world. If you haven't seen it, they have been named. I'll come back later in the week or on Friday and we'll go over those. Shall I do the dates, Pete?
Yeah.
You got a piece of music for us?
Yes, I thought I might play that Rose of My Heart that you like so much.
What's his name? Moffat?
Hugh Moffat.
Hugh Moffat. Yeah, it's a quiet song, just sadly, beautifully romantic. Beautiful song. Have you ever thought about singing that, Pete?
No, I haven't. There's so many I'd like to sing.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can't get over that Juicy Fruit story.
No.
It's crazy. Fancy pulling Juicy Fruit off the market after 131 years. Jeez. What is it? What's the problem they're trying to fix? What is it about success they don't understand?
I think it's coming back without sugar. Probably a sugar substitute or something.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, what's the date? The 18th?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, the lovely Keith Martin was born. He was born in 1940. He's a bit older than me. Kay Winding, great man of music. 1921 he was born, Kay Winding. Rudolf Diesel was born, a German inventor who developed the diesel internal combustion engine, which of course to some of these idiots, these climate change zealots, is the devil incarnate. Nothing moves in this country, or I would suggest to you any other country, except by virtue of trucks powered by diesel engines. Worth thinking about. Anyway, Rudolf Diesel was born 1858 on this day. A report in the Melbourne papers said that sailors would be allowed to grow moustaches from now on. That was 1892, by the way. 1892. Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov spent 24 minutes outside his spacecraft in the first spacewalk in history on this day in 1965. Golly. Happy birthday to Dick Smith, the electronic whiz, or the electronic Dick they used to call him. 1944. Happy birthday, Dick. I should get you on the Friday show. He's a very interesting guy, Dick Smith. Cambodian head of state, Prince Norodom Sihanouk, deposed while he was visiting Moscow, 1970. Oh, God. Save me from the communists. Grover Cleveland, 24th President of the United States, was born in 1773. Helen Gurley Brown was born in Arkansas in 1922. Wilson Pickett was born in Alabama in 1941. John Updike was born in Pennsylvania in 1932. Hawaii became the 50th state of the United States of America in 1959, and on their flag they still have the Union flag from the UK. Nobody complains about that. They all respect it and admire it. Edward Everett Horton was born. He never married, son of a New York Time proofreader, that's Time newspaper. Fred Astaire's sidekick in several musicals in the 1930s. 1886 was the year. Neighbours started on ADS 7 in 85. It's Canberra Day, 1985. Neville Chamberlain was born in Birmingham, British Prime Minister, conducted negotiations with Adolf Hitler before World War II, became Prime Minister briefly in May 1937. I can still see the picture of him coming out of the aeroplane, waving the letter. Peace in our time, he said. I got Adolf Hitler's signature on the bottom. Yes, well, that was worth something, wasn't it? And the wonderful Robert Donay was born in England, actor. Last spoken words on the screen in the 1958 movie of The Inn of the Sixth Happiness. We shall not see each other again, I think. Farewell. He died before the film was released. 1905 he was born, Robert Donay. He was the guy, the best one. There have been a few remakes of Goodbye Mr. Chips, but he was the best one. Thank you so much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. Pete's got some music for you, and it will be good. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I'll be back tomorrow. Believe in yourself, and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.
We're the best partners this world's ever seen, together as close as can be. But sometimes it's hard to find time in between to tell you what you are to me. You are the rose of my heart, you are the love of my life, a flower not fading nor falling apart. If you're tired, rest your head on my arm, rose of my heart. When sorrow holds you in her arms of clay, it's raindrops that spark from your eyes. Your smile's like the sun come to earth for a day. You brighten my blackest of skies. You are the rose of my heart, you are the love of my life, a flower not fading nor falling apart. If you're cold, then my love make you warm, rose of my heart. Times, what do I care? There's nothing I'd change if I could. The tears and the laughter, things that we share, your hand in mine makes all times good. You are the rose of my heart, you are the love of my life, a flower not fading nor falling apart. You're my harbor, life's restless storm. You are the rose of my heart, you are the love